So, as we are drawing towards the end of Koudelka, you have one more very long piece of reading material to go through. So hopefully you will sit back and let me regale you with the research notes from Patrick. And hopefully we'll be able to assist Roger Bacon in all the stuff that we have to do. Pretty grim tale, so sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy. Research notes. September 10th, 1895. Rain. With the monastery renovations completed, I have finally moved in with Ogden and Bessie. It's been a long road since I first procured the emigre file. Even after referencing literature of all ages, the rendering of the text still remains a difficult task. Though it has been 4 years since I first laid eyes on it, never once has its enigma left the recesses of my mind. Contained in it are countless descriptions of the source of the energy that is the secret to life's existence, the Druids' cryptic experiment taken from the ancient Celts, and recorded by Alexander the Great hundreds of years before Christ. Branded a forbidden enterprise, it was kept hidden by the Vatican's cardinals in the depths of the Pope's quarters for a very long time. And now I have it in my hands. I have reached Wales, the land referred to in the text. I will fulfill my wife Elaine's resurrection at this monastery, built by St. Daniel Scotus. Of course, I am aware that my act could prove insolent in the eyes of the Lord, and however people may censor my actions, the love I have for my wife will never cease. I ask of you, Lord, to turn your eyes away for a short while. November 16th, 1895. Rain. The more I learn about this monastery, the more eerie the structure appears to me. Ogden mentioned that the hospice had been full of corpses at one time a few hundred years ago, and I had become aware of an oppressing sense of mortal sin as I walked through the underground passages. I can feel haunting spirits everywhere. But according to the emigre file, the power of such resentful spirits are considered the driving force behind reviving the Druids' cryptic experiment. I had planned to fill this place with the all-consuming ire of these spirits. Even though I may burn in hell for these sins, if Elaine can be brought back to life, I shall have no regrets. December 5th, 1895. Rain. I found out that the cauldron hidden in the basement held the key to the secret. Even though the book had mentioned it, the well-positioned trick door kept us from locating its whereabouts. The cauldron looks as if it was made of gold, but upon closer inspection, the surface is so old that one cannot determine how long it has been in existence. I would guess that it is a prehistoric artifact made a few thousand years or maybe even tens of thousands of years ago and left to sit. We must quickly set up an altar and begin preparations for our ceremony. December 16th, 1895. Rain. I ordered Ogden to acquire some livestock. 320 chickens and 43 pigs were purchased through a supplier in town. I arranged for ground transportation, but the fog did not help expedite the undertaking. I expect to be busy as soon as the delivery arrives. Animal offerings are an integral part of the Druid experiment. The cauldron must be filled with the freshest blood and flesh. This is where it begins. February 24th, 1896. Rain. The third experiment. Still no response. Even though I follow the directions and offer the proper prayers, there are no signs of the spirits gaining any strength. I must return to the book and reread some parts since I cannot proceed if there have been some misunderstanding of the text. If there is a problem with the way I conducted the experiment, is there a problem with the way I conducted the experiment, or are the offerings insufficient? Regardless, I need to think this over. Even though I may arrive at a terrifying realization, it is too late to fear anything now. I have come too far to be impeded by my fear. I am sure Ogden will understand. March 19th, 1896. Rain. Return from London. The specially ordered carriage seems to be working very well. I have trapped 3 women in the baskets in the back. I lured some victims out of an alley in the East End, had them sniff some chemicals and pulled them into the carriage. But since I was not used to my new role as an abductor, It took more time than I had planned. I could not have done this without Ogden's help. I am deeply grateful to him. March 25th, 1896. Rain. I am still at a loss. I cannot make up my mind. Even if I can bring Elaine back to life, are my actions forgivable? I balk when presented with this dilemma. Bessie has been taking care of the women I've kidnapped. It's better than them freezing in some corner of London. I hope the small gesture of kindness will be considered as a priori act of repentance. I wonder if my small kindness will have any significance when held up to the horrendous act I'm about to commit. March 31st, 1896. Rain. I must make up my mind. I must. April 3rd, 1896. Storm. Dear Lord, I have without a doubt committed a crime no human should have committed. I have conducted the Druid experiment using the flesh and blood of the victims. I sense the incredible energy of the spirits culminate in one when I poured the women's remains into the cauldron. As I had thought before, it is human flesh that needs to be offered up to fully release the effects of the procedure. What a frightening, arcane process this is. The sounds of fury and the women's death screams have not left my ears, but I must go on. There is no turning back now. April 12th, 1896. Rain. Once again I perform the procedures. I once again round up 4 victims from London. Even though they are all old with barely a thing to live for, when I contemplate taking their lives it leaves me sick to my stomach. It may be due to my doubts that the spirits do not rise to such a powerful strength as before. I may have to use a younger, more vibrant source of energy. The book says to fill the cauldron with the energy of haunted spirits. I wonder how many victims the cauldron must swallow to be satisfied. June 5th, 1896. Rain. I do not have enough victims. The saintly presence of Daniel Scotus inhibits us from claiming authoritative power. I have concluded that it will be necessary for us to offer many more lives before we are finished here. I have since found 35 more victims for 7 separate experiments, but the spirits have not responded with much strength. For me to accomplish the resurrection, I am in dire need of the culminated strength of the spirits. I must come up with a way. I must come up with a more efficient way to procure my victims. July 15th, 1896. Rain. I finally received the first shipment of my victims. Ogden was right when he suggested that we should offer the lord of the slave trade an enormous amount of money for this matter. He has no compassion for human life. The victims are not given much information and arrive at the monastery expecting a routine night's work. It is not necessary for us to go hunting for prey in town. With a few sugar-coated lies, there are plenty of people that climb right into the carriage. There is no one that will dare speak of what is to become of them. September 9th, 1896. Rain. Poured the remains into the cauldron. The energy levels in the cauldron have clearly increased, which makes me happy, since that proves I am heading in the right direction. Seems that lately I have become more efficient at performing the tasks required for the procedures. However, Ogden and I cannot expect to become much more productive, as it is impossible for us to hire help since we must keep this matter purely clandestine. I have decided to place an order for a laboratory table from an equipment manufacturer in Manchester. It will take about a month to make, but once we receive this, we will be able to manage many more experiments. October 3rd, 1896. Rain. Butchered 3 bodies since morning. After lunch, we made repairs to the bell tower of the main church. After dinner with Bessie and Ogden, I butchered 3 more bodies. The lab table has proven its worth. The spirits have certainly increased in strength. At this rate, I may finish preparing for Elaine's resurrection before All Saints' Day. October 14th, 1896. Rain. 6 bodies butchered in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, 1 after dinner. November 1st, 1896. Rain. How have I been awaiting this day? The day to conduct Elaine's resurrection ceremony has finally arrived. The cauldron is brimming with the remains of my victims. This monastery is now consumed by the energies of the preternatural spirits. Even a saint could not hold his ground against the powerful energies of these hex spirits. I took Elaine's body, which had been preserved in chemicals for this very day, and placed it on the altar. I then began reciting the ceremonial chant. Elaine, you are still as beautiful as ever. I love you so much. Please forgive me for calling you back from the land of the dead. November 7th, 1896. Rain. What is going on? I have lost all hope. All my efforts and dreams have only been an illusion. The tree of life that grows upwards out of the corpse as if wrapping Elaine's body was certainly the manifestation of the Druid's cryptic experiments that I had been seeking. If God is capable of creating beings out of nothingness, then this is indeed a man-made example of his work. But to my horror, the image of my resurrected wife displayed in flower petals looked just as she did before, yet it lacked a human soul. Indeed, it was a monster. Dear God, is this the punishment you have chosen for me? What have I accomplished by victimizing nearly 200 innocent people? My only hope in life lay in believing that the resurrection was possible and dreaming of the day when my wife Elaine would join me here in life on earth once again. Now I have nothing but a cauldron full of blood and hex spirits and a soulless monster. Is this the end that has been awaiting me? Dear Lord, have you no mercy? I only have one path left to follow. I have lost too much. I cannot even find the words to apologize to Ogden, who has lent me his strength along the way. Now, I only long to sleep in peace with my wife.